And Orla, phone the Turkish embassy and get them to send over some holiday brochures for Ciara. Hello, listeners, and welcome to the Monica Moody post-Oscars party. I've invited Jim Sheridan's former neighbours from Sheriff Street into RTE today. I've put them in Gay Byrne's studio because I couldn't trust them with the Caravaggio, and they're having a marvellous time. It's as though the Irish hadn't disgraced themselves in Hollywood at all. I see Joe Duffy in the corner, the tape recorder going at full speed. He's in a frenzy. And everybody tucking into the food and drink. I'd swear they'd never seen a canopy before, Orla.
Don't touch that sausage roll.
Ooh, that looks painful. It's like the Mansion House all over again, Orla. Oh, God, there's Tony Curtis trawling. He's hit rock bottom, Orla. Anyway, listeners, we leave the Sheriff Street residents to their private Oscar tragedy. And I'll just nip down the corridor to the comfort and safety of my own studio. And you better lock the door behind me, Orla. I don't want Tony Curtis following me. He's ruined enough RTE shows for 1 week. I'm on my way, John.
I think it's probably only a problem with the plug. Here, Dana, if you see, this was one of the pie charts that I did for the very first show.
Lovely, Dr. Fitzgerald.
Yes, the blue lines represent...
Yes.
Oh, right, John. Settle down, everybody. And welcome. It's me, former world leader Dr. Gerry Fitzgerald, sitting in for Monica Moody. And my guests today are Dana.
Hello, everybody.
Father Tom Doughty. Oh, God, here she is.
Back in your box, Garrett Fitzgerald.
I'm sorry, Monica. I was
and
merely...
take off my jacket. Oh. Paul Costello will go berserk if he saw you. And believe me, that's not something you want to witness. Look at what I did to Twink.
What did you do to Twink?
He had her pinned to the ground on Play the Game, Garrett. What? Slugging it out with her stripped to the waist.
That was Yvonne Costello, Monica.
Well, whoever he was a beast.
She, Monica. Yvonne Costello's a woman.
I wouldn't be so sure about that, ex-world leader. Now, my guests today are RTE marriage guidance counsellor, Father Tom Doughty.
Hello, Monica.
Dana.
Hello, everybody.
Film critic Mick Psycho Flynn.
How's it going?
More later. World Cup entrepreneur Rona Mullen.
Hello, Monica.
And past life therapist Chanel Kowalski,
Hi.
who's written a book called Hello, I'm Back.
Hello, I'm back.
And my very special guest today is none other than Jackie Kelly, direct from BBC Radio Ulster. And Jackie's going to be in my co-driver's seat for today.
Oh, indeed, is he?
Aye, that's right, Monica. Yes. I was lucky enough, listeners, to have the pleasure of the company of this lovely lady on my show in Belfast during the week.
Belfast nightmare, stop the killing.
That's right. Well, we had a marvellous time, so Monica has kindly returned the invitation, and here I am.
It's all part of my personal peace campaign, Stop the Killing.
Stop the killing.
And later in the show, we'll have the world premiere of our Stop the Killing charity record, written and performed by our very own Dana.
Stop the killing.
Yeah. And may I say that she's looking every bit as lovely as she did when she sat on that stool in The Hague all those years ago.
Though the frock has shown its age, in fairness.
I love that frock and has a nice lived-in look.
Yes, thank you, Father Tom Doughty. And Jackie, you know, you're not looking so bad yourself, considering the heartbreak that is Northern Ireland.
Thanks, Monica. You're a smasher.
I've never even heard of him.
Neither did I, Garrett, but apparently he's huge up north. And besides, he's brought down a rake of duty-free. Now, Dudley Moore, isn't he awful, Chanel?
Yeah, well, I think what we have here is a classic case of angst repression. Dudley Moore has watched his movie career deteriorate while maintaining the legendary British stiff upper lip. He reminds me of my mom.
No, that's right, Chanel. You tell him.
Thank you, Father Tom. And all the while, Dudley has been smothering his anger and resentment.
And of course, he's only a small lad.
No smaller than that, Father Tom.
Oh,
Go
really?
on, Chanel.
That's right. And eventually, this anger had to find a way out.
Yeah.
And he expressed it in a classic textbook fashion through domestic violence. I used to beat my mom.
Right. So, Chanel, what you're saying is that it was inevitable that Dudley Moore would turn into a wild animal and savage his model girlfriend.
Pretty much, and that's okay. As I pointed out in my first book, while I'm down here, dwarfism and past lives,
Hello, I'm back.
vertically challenged people have a lot of pent-up hostility and often have difficulty holding down relationships.
Witness Brendan
Oh,
Howell.
indeed.
And they often feel the need to lash out and strike a blow against society, or in this case, a top model.
And who can blame him? There are a few top models I'd like to beat to a pulp myself, Chanel. I think we all would.
I'd love
I
to.
dream of battering Cindy Crawford to within an inch of her life. I wake up every night screaming just thinking about it. And I don't think I'm unusual in that.
Well,
Fine, we'll move on. The Oscars. Victory for Steven Spielberg and his feel-good movie, but multiple tragedy for the Irish.
Dear, oh dear.
Mick Flynn, or Mick Psycho Flynn, as you insist on being called, welcome.
How are you?
Now, Mick, you're deputy editor of the Celluloid Cellmate, Mountjoy Jail's in-house movie magazine, isn't that right?
Yep.
And at this juncture, I'd just like to say a big hello to all my fans in prison.
Hello.
I get stacks of letters, Donna. They love me.
A captive audience. Do you guys
Shut up, former
Locked
word
in
leader,
prison.
and take that jacket off. I won't tell you again.
Sorry.
Now, Mick, you were over in Hollywood covering the Oscars, handcuffed, as always, to prison officer Seamus Hickey. Hello, Seamus.
Hello, Monica. Nice to be on your show.
Thank you, Seamus. And well done on the lotto, lovey. I'd say you had a bit of a party in Hollywood as well.
You know yourself.
Now, Mick, let's look at the Spielberg phenomenon. A long overdue tribute?
Yeah, I think so. Steven Spielberg has been making quality films for many years without getting any major recognition from the Academy. Even The Colour Purple, which was seen as his nod towards the selectors, was ignored at Oscar time.
Ironically, it was that same film that launched the career of Oscar presenter Whoopi Goldberg.
Well, same as, Whoopi had already made a name for herself as a stand-up comedian.
I love Whoopi Goldberg. She reminds me of an African woman I once knew on the missions. she'd grand childbearing hips. She'd be the mother of a bishop, as my own mother Gyan would have said, under the covers with her
Yes,
slip down the
thank you,
trunks.
Father Tom. So did you see Steven Spielberg, Mick?
Well, Spielberg actually went home after the ceremony. He hosted a private family party, but he left this behind him, if you know what I mean.
Oh.
Yeah, feel the weight of that.
Yes, it is heavy,
real.
isn't it? I felt Brenda Frickers, of course. Everybody has. She brings it everywhere with her. She's obsessed with it.
Yeah, well, anyway, I'm having this resprayed so as no one will recognise it. There's a bloke in the workshops who does them.
That's lovely, Mick. So, what parties did you go to in Hollywood?
Well, most of the cast of Schindler's List went on to a special reception in Beverly Hills, so that's where we stopped off first.
I read about that in the papers. I believe Liam Neeson was in fine form, despite having lost the Oscar and having Natasha Richardson on his arm.
Yes, I did an interview with Liam for our magazine.
I held the tape recorder.
That's right, Seamus. And he was very philosophical about his own nomination. But then I think Liam acknowledges that he has had better performances.
His cameo in Husbands and Wives, for example.
I was thinking more a grittier role, Seamus, like in The Big Man. But yeah, he wasn't too disappointed. I had to give him a bit of a smack, though.
Oh, and why was that?
Well, he was looking at me funny, you know yourself.
I don't think you'd ever seen a man slap out before.
You'd be surprised, Seamus. Anyway, Mick, what other big names did you see?
Well, I also interviewed Emma Thompson, who was with the Irish camp after the ceremony. She was very gracious.
Crawling as usual.
She's a lovely girl. She posed for a photograph with us.
She's marvellous. Married to a good Belfast man, of course.
I know. Gerry Adams, isn't it awful? Stop the killing.
Stop the
Psycho.
killing.
Well, the Irish party in general was a bit subdued. Jim Sheridan was obviously disappointed.
And I believe Daniel Day-Lewis was maddened with grief.
That's right. Despite the widely held view that Day-Lewis is the finest method actor since the young De Niro.
Yes, it's circa Mean Street.
That's right, Seamus. Taxi Driver is another good example. But Day-Lewis has taken that crown now, and yet was overlooked this time out by the Academy. Would you know anybody that'd be interested in buying his watch, by the way?
Oh, I'm sure Chanel will take it off your hands, Mick, if she hasn't already. Bit of a history or so, I believe.
That's right, Monica. I was Bonnie and Clyde in a former life. I held up My mom.
Right. Back to the failed Irish contingent psycho. What do you think they'll do now? Now that they've lost everything, do you think they'll go back to crime?
Sorry, Monica, you've lost me here. Who will go back to crime?
Our failed Oscar nominees, Jim Sheridan, Liam Neeson, and Guildford pub bomber extraordinaire Daniel Day-Lewis. They're all former terrorists, Jackie.
I think you're a bit confused there, Monica.
You're right,
Don't waste
Jackie.
your time,
You're right.
Jackie.
I am confused. I'm confused as to why so many men who went through the prison system, paid their debt to society, and then went on to make such great films were ignored by the Academy of Motion Pictures. The film industry has left them no choice now but to return to crime. Mick, will they go back to their sordid criminal pasts?
Yeah, I suppose so. Cheryl definitely will, anyway.
I was handcuffed to him out of the making of the field. He was a great guy.
And it's a brilliant film. In many ways, it's his masterpiece.
Isn't it? The only pity is that John B. Keane's wife ran away to Dublin to join the Sunday Independent during the making of it, and he's written nothing but rubbish since.
What?
We'll move on.
All right,
Yeah,
don't answer, but your silence is
Excuse me, sir, but do I detect some hostility towards our northern friend?
No, I was merely wondering if that was a real beard or if he was wearing a disguise, that's all. It's a perfectly reasonable question. You can't be too careful with these northerners.
Settle down, everybody. And Garrett's right, Jackie. It is beginning to peel at the sides.
It must be all the excitement.
Now, Lent, the end is nigh. Father Tom Doughty, we're all exhausted from our Lenten exertions.
Indeed,
but
Monica.
today is the last Sunday of the barren season. Isn't that right?
Oh, that's correct, Monica.
Yes.
Today is Palm or Passion Sunday, and the tradition in rural Ireland on this day was to completely cover your body with palm fronds in preparation for Holy Week. And that's what I've done for you today.
So I see, Father Tom.
He looks like a big haystack.
Talk us through the procedure, Father Tom.
Well, in keeping with the custom, I rose before dawn and gathered up literally thousands of moist palm fronds and bits of grass and moss for warmth, and I've attached them to my body using a water-based adhesive. As you can see, my body is completely covered and I am in darkness. I can see nothing whatsoever. In keeping with the custom, I am waiting for the light.
And the elephant?
Oh, what elephant?
The elephant that you're sitting on, Father Tom.
Oh, the man in the pet shop told me it was a donkey. I thought that was a bit big, all right. Yeah.
Just keep it away from the Caravaggio,
Hello, Jumbo.
Father Tom. And it's eating your fronds.
And my beard.
I'll tell you, bakey uppy beard anyway.
Look, we'll leave it. And Orla, don't let it see your goat.
I love that goat. I only wish that I could see it.
Now, today is a very special day for all the celebrity women who are part of my Stop the Killing peace
Stop the killing.
movement. Jackie?
Yes, indeed. Well, we had a marvellous day up in sunny Belfast during the week for the launch of the Stop the Killing campaign's charity record. In fact, we had such a good time that we decided to do it all over again in Dublin.
And here we are with a bottle of champagne all ready to launch the record.
let me.
It's the first time it's been heard on Irish radio. It's called Stop the Killing.
Stop the Killing.
It's written and performed by our own Dana with Carmencita Hederman on piano, and it's in your local record shop now. Countless lives depend on this. Take it away, Carmencita.
I was walking down the Shankill Road. My car was broken down and I was getting it towed. And as I looked around and about, I heard a small boy crying, 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 crying out. Stop the violence, stop the killing. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Tell the terrorists if they're willing to hop it, hop it, hop it. The future is in our hands. We can bring peace to our lands if we'll only stop the killing. Stop it, please. was running down the old falls road. A man was selling coal and I just bought a load. And as I glanced from side to side, I heard a small girl crying, crying, crying. She cried, stop the violence, stop the killing. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Tell the terrorists if they're willing to hop it, hop it, hop it. The future is in our hands. We can bring peace to our lands if we'll only stop the killing. Stop it, please.
Tomorrow is yours and mine. End violence if you can find the time.
We've got to stop the blood from spilling.
We have to stop the killing. Stop it now.
Very good, very good, very good indeed.
I named this song Stop the Killing.
Garrett. He's decked Carmen Seat ahead of him with the champagne bottle, listeners. Never mind, isn't it marvellous? Donna, come back and join us. That was wonderful, lovey.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I wrote it while I was hanging around under the Papal Cross, waiting for a sign.
Oh, I know it well. It's a lovely spot.
Excuse me, I'd like to ask Dana.
Fire away there, Chanel.
Yeah. Did you feel power from your previous lives coming through you when you wrote that song?
She's off, passes over the duty free there, Jackie, and your beard really is falling apart now. It must be the heat in here.
I don't mind that. It wilts a bit in the heat, that's all.
His eye patch is slipping down his
I
face.
could have sworn I was on the other eye up in Belfast during the week.
Aha!
Sure, you know me, I'm full of surprises.
Yeah.
Chanel, past lives, how can we find out who we once were?
That's an interesting question, sir. I think your wig is slipping off at the back there.
Yep, catch the wig, Garrett, would
I
you?
can't quite guess it, Monica.
What?
The elephant has a surprisingly
Oh,
strong
there it goes.
grip on
Father
its
Tom, can you please keep that elephant under check? This is a studio, not a zoo. And Orla, keep that goat out of its sight. Go on, Chanel.
Well, there are many ways to regress to a past life. There's hypnotism, hypnotherapy, hydrotherapy, aromatherapy. But the essential point is to come to terms with your present life before you begin searching for your past one.
Yep.
For example, I used to physically and mentally torture my mom.
Psycho, Flynn. Torture in the movies?
Well, there's no point in denying that violence sells films, Monica. Look at Terminator 2.
Oh, more recently, Free Willy.
That was something else entirely, though, Seamus, wasn't it? Go on, Mick.
We at the Celluloid Cellmate try to focus on a wide range of issues that crop up in the movies, from feminism through politics to self-discovery. But there's no doubt that the most popular issues of our in-jail movie mag are the ones where extremely violent films feature prominently.
And any ones with pictures of Sharon Stone on the cover.
Oh, that's right, Seamus, or Brad Pitt.
That'd be more amongst the officers now, though, wouldn't it, Mickey?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Well, as it happens, we've a bit of a pin-up in studio with us today.
Is it the ghost?
No, Father Tom. It's World Cup entrepreneur extraordinaire, Rona Mullen. Welcome, Rona.
Thanks, Monica.
Now, Rona, we'll get to the World Cup in a minute. But first, a little birdie told me that you were once a beauty queen. Is that right?
That's right.
Wouldn't you know it by looking at her?
Is she good looking? I wish I could see.
Smasher.
Thanks, Jackie. And one of your teeth has just fallen out, incidentally.
Sure, there's plenty more where that came from. Go on, Rona.
Well, a couple of years ago, I went to Sarajevo as part of a charity organisation, and I was voted, well, it's a bit embarrassing, really. I was voted Miss Former Yugoslavia by the various warring factions.
I see Orla gearing spitting there in the corner, Rona. You beat her into second place, didn't
Well, it
you?
was very close. It was the evening round, really, that clinched it for me. I was very lucky. Orla was way ahead after the swimsuit section. She had a lovely red and gold bikini, and her goat had a smart blue one-piece.
I'd love to have seen that. I'd love to see anything.
I'd say, girls, you were both gorgeous. I'd jump up now and give you both a big hug if I wasn't in this wheelchair.
Monica, he was walking around the canteen fine this
I
afternoon.
know, girls, I know. Anyway, Rona, former Miss Former Yugoslavia extraordinaire, the World Cup, isn't it awful? Like thousands of other Irish women, you are going to be abandoned by your husband in June. But unlike all the other World Cup widows, you had a good idea, didn't you? Tell us more, lovey.
Well, Monica, when my husband Bobby announced that he was going to the States for the World Cup, all I could think of was all the dinner parties I'd had to cancel during the month of June.
I know, go on.
I had
lovey.
so many functions penciled in, yacht club, barbecues, the Stop the Killing skirmish.
Oh, you can be on my team.
Yeah, thanks. And I realised that I couldn't show up at any of these without a man on my arm. I didn't want to walk in on my own and have people feel sorry for me.
Well, witness Gina and Crowley.
Indeed. And then I thought, there must be thousands of Irish women in the same position as me, all going without a man for the month of June. And the more I thought of all those cancelled invitations and those odd jobs around the house that wouldn't get done, the clearer the solution appeared to be.
And that's when you decided to start the agency, wasn't it, Rona?
That's right. I'd spent some years in Bosnia and before that in Somalia, where I got that red sarong, incidentally, Monica.
yes,
You can't be the
And
good
I'd
sarong.
seen at first hand the inequities between the first and third worlds, and I thought, why not show the men of the third world some of the privileges of the first?
Yeah.
Especially during this time when there's such a shortage of men in Ireland.
Well, yeah.
So I started my agency, Lean and Mean Limited. And basically, I'm importing men from Bosnia and from other stricken areas to replace Irish husbands for the duration of the World Cup.
Goodness
Rona,
gracious.
it's a brilliant idea.
Can I ask, Rona, did you feel anger towards the white man when you were working in war zones? Because I spent many years working out my anger towards my own race. I eventually sold my mom.
Comment, Rona Mullen, former Miss Former Yugoslavia.
I didn't stop to think about it, really.
Yeah.
When I was out there, I just kept thinking that the whole situation was such a waste of human resources. I remember nursing a Croatian soldier who couldn't have been more than 17 and thinking how well he'd look in a tux.
What was wrong with him?
Nothing.
So, Rona, you're planning to import thousands of
yes.
men into this country from the war zones of the world.
That's right.
One question, lovey. How are you going to get them in?
Don't worry, Monica. It's all legal. Lean and Mean have hired a container, which we'll fill at the port of Zagreb with men. And then, when we've unloaded at Dublin port, we'll send it back over into the direction of Beirut and get another batch.
And what happens then? Former beauty queen and warring factions pin-up extraordinaire?
Well, the men are then washed and dispatched to the homes of the women whose husbands have gone to the States. We're hoping to ship the new arrivals out to their homes within 24 hours of the husbands leaving. Just in case there's a spider in the bath. Or a light bulb needs charging.
Sounds terrific.
Same-day service, very impressive.
Yes, well, we're hoping to have the men ensconced before the Italy game so that they'll be able to attend any social functions that crop up that weekend.
Right.
I myself have a golf dinner that Peter Barry's throwing. Doreen Allen's doing the canapes. So I'll have a nice specimen on my arm.
So, Rona, basically these refugees will do everything a husband would do.
That's right, except get drunk, of course. Well, I've arranged to have them horsewhipped if they get drunk. It's in their contract.
Rona, I must say, this is an extremely cavalier attitude.
God, Gareth.
For example, what happens to these men at the end of the World Cup? Have you thought about that?
No. Give us a go on that duty free there, Monica.
Right, lovely. Look, you're doing marvellous work, and I only wish that my Tony was going to the World Cup. Mind you, I'd be afraid my son Ronan would explode with a young Lebanese boy in the house. We'll take a break. Passes over the naggin there. Give us the gin. I don't need a glass. That's enough, Garrett. You're getting that elephant all excited. Enough. Falker, Tom Doughty, can you not sit still up there?
I don't think I can, Monica. I'm a terrible itch, and I can only conclude that my body heat must have brought about an early sprouting of the mayfly larvae in the foliage that completely covers my body. If I could just slip down the trunk.
Stay where you are, Father Tom Doughty. Oh, God, now look what you've made that animal do. It's like Blue Peter all over again. I still have the nightmares, Dana. Garrett, clear that up.
Me?
Yes,
I'm not really equipped to deal with incontinence in elephants, Monica. Perhaps if Pat Kenny is still in the building, we
leave
can...
it, XC Shook. I don't want to encourage him. You can shovel it up later. Oh, Jackie, there goes an eyebrow.
Where?
It's in your gin, lovey. Look, I'll drink it if you don't want it.
Monica, I really am most concerned about this Jackie Kelly person. He's falling apart at the seams.
But he is, isn't he? Oh, welcome back, listeners. Now, alcoholism, isn't it awful? Especially on Good Friday.
Oh, what an awful
Rona
smell.
Mullen, you're an alcoholic.
That's right.
Good Friday, any tips?
Well, Monica, the crucial mistake that most people make is to drink everything that they've stockpiled on the Thursday night, when, of course, the pubs are still open.
I know. Tell me about it, lovey.
Yeah, the
Every
trick is-
year.
The trick is to buy 2 daily allowances at one time on the Thursday.
Yeah.
You see? Get 2 crates, 2 cases, and double up the spirits as well. That should technically keep you going till Saturday. But remember, you can never have too much in.
You can never have too much in. You heard it, listeners. Here, Rona, here's a good one. Watch this. Garrett.
Yes, Monica?
Dr. Garrett Fitzgerald, ex-world leader. I just like to say that I think you're doing a marvellous job on this show, and I'm convinced that you've got many more years in broadcasting ahead of you.
Oh, thank you very much, Monica. Of course, statistically, broadcasters retire...
April Fool!
It's only March 27th, Monica. A full 4 days before the
I
appointed...
can speak to you from one end of the week to the other, so I had to do it now.
Very amusing.
Make you a bit rougher.
An April Fool to you too, Monica.
Jackie, your beard, your wig, your eye
thought
patch,
so.
your hideous
Look at
flares, you're
Failed Oscar nominee extraordinaire, Daniel Day-Lewis!
That's right. I fooled you all.
That one was my idea. Oh, I only wish I could have seen how it turned out.
Well, it turned out very well, Father Tom Doughty. Lipton observer and practical joking priest extraordinaire. One tip, Daniel Lovey, the accent was awful.
Awful.
And Seamus, if you have a spare pair of handcuffs on you, the people of Guildford will thank you.
Right so.
Listeners, my thanks to all my guests, especially the residents of Sheriff Street and Daniel Day-Lewis. Don't forget to buy the Stop the Killing
Stop the
record.
Killing.
Wait a moment. Oh my God. No need to buy the record. My producer John has just told me that the war in Northern Ireland is over.
What?
April Fool!
Big jokes.
Well, that's all for this week. I'm Monica Moody. Will you let me in? Rona passes Daniel's bottle of Black Bull. She won't need it where he's gone.
I'm going to buy you a second-hand Oscar there, Dan.
That programme was brought to you by Pauline McLynn, Jonathan White, Niamh Linehan and Peter Hanley. Monica Moody was devised by Gerry McNamara. The script was by Fiona Looney and Gerry McNamara. The programme was produced by John Caden.